So set myself up, going to get a long fire going later on tonight, chill out there, and then got my hammock chilled ready with a couple of films to watch, etc. And my this is a nice little addition that I've got recently, a little portable radio, so you just charge it up before you come out. Just been listening to the World Service and all the craziness that is going on at the moment, which is nuts for everyone in the world. Is going to be nuts. But yeah, so what I was going to do tonight, because I just came out and thought, well, I can do a little video, is just talk about bivvies. So I've done little videos about, and I've mentioned about bivvies before. I've done a video on accommodation and all that sort of stuff. And for me, bikepacking technically could just be anything where you put your pulling gear in your rucksack and cycle to your mates. I mean, is that technically bikepacking? It probably is. You can go and stay in hotels, and that's what I did through France, was hotels, Airbnbs, just only one night. Yeah, I think only one night camping. So you can do that. But for me, bikepacking is about the whole experience, and it's about the adventure, and the adventure is going and doing things that are a little bit unknown, and wildcamping is part of that for me. So staying out overnight is quite an important part of what we do. And a really good way of doing it, and I think probably the best way if you're going to get into bikepacking, is to do it with a tent. But a really good way to do it is with a bivvy. Now, I'm clearly a hammock kind of guy. I'm not a ground dweller like the majority of bikepackers, but when I do ground dwell, I would rather be in a bivvy than in a tent, because I love lying out underneath the sky and the stars. Bivvies are lovely in certain situations. They are definitely not for every situation. If you have heavy rain, then you might think, well, you get yourself inside a bivvy, and the ones I'm going to show you are seriously waterproof. Nothing's getting through. I mean, one of them, the big one I'm going to show you, that is my new winter bivvy. I've been in a torrential storm on a Cornish coastline with howling winds, and I just hunkered down in that just to see what it was like, and it was a fun night is one way of putting it, I suppose. So yeah, I love bivvies, but when it's pouring with rain, they're just not good to get in and out of, because all that water gets in, you get moisture in there, your down sleep, lightweight bikepacking sleeping bag gets soaking wet. Everything goes very badly wrong very quickly. So if you're going to bivvy in bad weather, always go for a tarp, and you can go for something like, you can get a little mini tarp S with a lightweight carbon pole that you can stick up. You can get them in a lot of places, but you're looking for a bivouac pole, and you get your tarp over that, and that will keep you nice and dry, and then you get into your bivvy. Now, other issues with bivvies are condensation. So if you've got one that doesn't breathe particularly well and you get inside that, you're going to get condensation inside there. You're going to get your down sleeping bag wet, and everything's going to get wet, and it's just going to be, again, a little bit unpleasant. So in the morning, you've got to dry that thing out, and of course you're carrying around that damp on your bike while it's all drying out. So just be careful with how you're breathing. You never cover yourself completely up unless it was pouring with rain, but I'd always keep a little gap where you can actually breathe out of, just to try and get that moisture out, because you'd be amazed at how much moisture. I think it's something like a litre, or very close to around a litre. I did look it up a while back, but there's a lot of moisture that you're giving out over the evening, so be really careful with that. So some bivvies, and one I'm going to show you, looks like a nice big bivvy. It's relatively small, it can back down, it's pretty good, it's very low cost, but it is not breathable, and I've spent one night in that in rain when I had to climb into there wet, and not completely wet, but there was enough moisture in there to make it, to just get everything soaking wet. So I'll just be really careful with breathability of what you're going to use. Clearly you need it to be waterproof as well. You want it to be lightweight. You want to maybe have a little bit of space in there. So the two main types of bivvies, in fact I would put bivvies into three types. One I would say is an emergency sort of bivvy that all it's going to actually do is it's either going to keep your sleeping bag dry, so you may be, you know, somewhere that's dry, but you just want to have that extra protection on the sleeping bag. And of course a bivvy, what it also does is add a little bit of warmth. There's a few degrees centigrade that you get extra from being inside a bivvy. So you may have your sleeping bag inside the bivvy, you climb in and you've got an extra few degrees centigrade, plus you've got some waterproofness, just to keep your bag nice and clean if you're somewhere that particularly needs that. So there's that side of it. So it does give you a little bit of extra warmth and it just protects you. But the really smaller, lightweight ones I'll show you are very much emergency sort of thing, to add some warmth and to add some water protection. The next size are, and those you can be paying 50-60 pounds UK pounds. You can go up in price and go up to £200, in between 100 and 200 pounds, and there you're going to get actually a really nice, really breathable, waterproof, got a bug net, got everything you really want. You know, a great bit of kit, and I've got a couple of those to show you. And then you can have a winter one, and a great thing about a winter's bivvy is that you get more space in there. You can get a bigger pad, you can get a bigger sleeping bag, more space, and therefore because you've got more space, your sleeping bag doesn't get squashed down. And if you're squashed down, then you're starting to lose heat protection or heat retention through the sleeping bag, because the bivvy is squashing it all down. So, and then other types of bivvies, you can have ones that have hoops, ones that don't have hoops, and hoops obviously keep the bivvy off your head, so you it's just a bit more enjoyable to live in, really. But you can read a book and you've got a little bit of space and you can breathe and you haven't got material on your face. Or you can have them without the hoops and you have some material over, and they're about 100 grams lighter. So something with a hoop adds about 100 grams. Okay, and other ways of doing bivvying is to put your mat, your inflatable mat, inside the bivvy, or you could put it outside the bivvy. So you put the bivvy on top of the blow up mat. If you put the mat inside, you take up space. However, the benefits are the mat is a little bit more protected from puncturing, and it doesn't slide around. If you put the blow up mat on the underside and put your bivvy on top, then you're going to be sliding around. You'll probably halfway through the night find that you've slid off the mat and you're on the ground, and therefore you're going to get really cold, because that mat is going to give you some protection, some thermal protection from underneath. Right then, here we go. This is the first one. This is and I'll probably try and put the prices up and things like that up on the screen. Oh, just about beating the sunset. If you want to go lightweight, this is what to go for. I've forgotten the name. My memory is awful. Escape Bivy. Yes, I have slept in this once. It wasn't raining. This is not waterproof, but it is a good thing to carry if I was going hiking, day hiking. But you never know what could go wrong. I put this. I keep this in the car. It's always ready to go in my little go bag. It's brilliant. It's lightweight, and it does really add some warmth. But my massive warning with these things is, if you look online, you will find that people, so they're not waterproof, but they do have this reflective material in here. If you get in wet into this thing and it's cold outside, you're probably going to you're basically putting your life in danger. There are a number of people who have posted some YouTube videos where they say they got into one of these things wet to keep warm. However, the dampness ended up basically absorbing all the heat out of their body, and they ended up going through the shaking phase and really going hypothermic. So just be really careful with these. If you get in dry, no problem. If you get into these things wet, then you're putting your life at risk. Anyway, so I'm going to have a look at this in a minute. It is really lightweight. It's something like 200, and I'll put the weight up, but it's a couple of 100 grams, 250 something like that grams, not 100%, but it's really lightweight. It's actually really tough. There's one guy who's been out using this many nights, doing a through hike, and the thing looks a little bit tatty. He's lost a lot of the silvery reflective material in there, but he says, yeah, he absolutely swears by it. But again, he commented about getting in there wet, just being really careful with these. I think that goes with anything. If you get in there wet and you're cold, then you're going to suffer. But these, I think, for some reason, particularly like that. Right, so let's have a look at this. Okay, so here's the sole Escape Bivy. Like I say, you got the mat in there. This is a long mat. You can see it's not actually that long a bivvy. It doesn't come up over your head, so it really is just keeping everything sort of from your shoulders down, protected with a little bit of extra heat. So I think I said before, having this thing wet and this thing in the wet can be a little bit dodgy, although it says survival outdoors. I'm not sure if I would use this, but there are some very good reviews online. But if you want something that's really light and that will just give you that extra bit of warmth and protection for your sleeping bag, then I think it's absolutely fine. You just got to be a little bit careful, like I say. So I'm just going to climb in then. Okay, I'm in it. I'll be honest, there is not a lot of space. This is summer sleeping bag. That is all you're going to get. If you've got the pad inside, a lot of people, like I say, put the pad outside. I really don't like that. I find that I fall off the thing all the time, so I'd always go for the pad inside, and just go for a slightly bigger bivvy if you can to do that. But for this here, yeah, could I sleep on my side? Yeah, it's not great, but I don't think this is built to have the pad inside. So, and I wouldn't be taking this out if I was 100% sure that I was going to be sleeping out. I would really want something else. It's just not big enough to have the pad inside. It really is for chucking in the back just in case, with a lightweight pad, and then you just, you sleep on top of the pad. It's a last ditch option if you're out bike packing, but you decide, you know what, everything's gone bad, I'm just going to stay out here for the night. There we go. So that's that one. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not my choice. Okay, this is my second one. It's the first bivvy that I got. I got it from Mountain Warehouse. It was, I don't know, 30 or 40 pounds. It's pretty cheap. It is made from nylon. It's a bag that's sort of yay big. That's sort of that big, but there's the bag. Again, it's pretty lightweight. It's a bit heavier than the Sole Escape Bivvy. Yeah, it has a pull cord. So here we go, there's my pull cord there. So we're going to have a look at this, but it doesn't breathe very well. So I've done, is it 2 nights I think with this thing? Certainly one of them I remember very well, because I got a lot of moisture in because I pulled it over with the rain, breathing away, and all the moisture had got in there, and it had made my gorgeous down sleeping bag all wet. So fine for keeping, if you're expecting some bad weather, you may be under a bivvy, but you're just going to be have it open, then no real big deal. But just be careful with what you're going to do with it. It's not particularly breathable for that price, but it is certainly 100% waterproof. I can vouch for that, and it's fairly lightweight and fairly cheap, and it's a really good option just for chucking in. Just chucking in into your bags, and just protecting your sleeping bag. It's got a pull cord. It's maybe worth talking about that briefly. During the winter, I'm more than happy having an open face and not bothered at all. But the two things I really don't like, and one of them particularly, so spiders I don't particularly like. I can deal with them in small numbers, but the bigger they get, the nastier, the freakier I get. I'm not particularly keen on them, and I'd rather not have them. And in the winter, you don't really get them. They're really, in the UK, they're all over the place in September, around that sort of time. Another one is slugs, which really grip me. I can't stand the things. They always seem to go for my boots. If I leave my boots there tonight, on the ground, I can guarantee you there's going to be a slug there in the morning, and I'm going to grab it. And the number of slugs that I put my hands on while I'm putting my boots on in the dark, or I put my foot in there, and I just know there's a slug in there. So they're horrible. So an open face one of these, I only really do that in the winter. In the summer, I want some sort of bug mesh or something that's just gonna keep those off me and just not have it going through my head through the night. Anyway, right, let's go and have a look at this one and just see what it's like. Right then, so this is the Mountain Warehouse, about 30 quid I think, something like that. Not particularly breathable. I can tell that just by looking at it. It just doesn't look like it's going to be top quality, but it's 30 quid, and if all I'm going to do is go out and bike pack, no big deal. It's got one with a pull cord. It's easily swallowed up my system. Yeah, climb in. Okay, yeah, so you tuck yourself down in here, up around the shoulders. I'm not going to do it all now. And there you go, wrap it up, your little pillow maybe. I can go down maybe a little bit further, but I can't be bothered. Yeah, again, there's not a lot of space in this. I can feel my legs just being squashed up, but again, I've got that sleeping pad inside, so that's what you get. Again, I'll just use this in the summer, but it's perfectly good, and if it's raining, I wouldn't really be that bothered. Summer, you know, 2-3 season, this thing will probably be okay actually. Yeah, so yeah, it's not bad actually, but like I say, it doesn't breathe particularly well. Right, next one. Right, the next one is putting a bit more money into it. I'll put the money up for this. This is a Snugpak Special Forces Bivvy. There's nothing special about it other than a zip in the middle. They do one without the zip, which is just the Snugpak Bivvy, and this one having a zip makes it Special Forces. It's 100% waterproof. It's a center zip, which I do really like, although to be honest, you're rolling over all the time, really doesn't matter too much. And it's part of a system that they've got, which has center zips and sleeping bags and all that sort of thing. But it is particularly lightweight. It's a bit more money than the other two, but it is really nice and lightweight. Chris went off to do the bare bones 200. He didn't need a bivvy in the end, but this is the one that he ended up taking. He had a sort of selection of any of mine, and this is one he went for, and I don't blame him for that. It is lightweight. It is very waterproof. Another good bivvy if you're wild camping is the British Army Bivvy. It's made of Gore-Tex and it is a top quality bit of kit. It's really breathable, it's really waterproof, but it's really heavy as well. It's 1 kilogram. This is a lot lighter, and a really good review I found online of a guy saying he compared this one to the British Army Bivvy, and this is a lot lighter. It's probably about the same price. You can get British Army Bivvies quite cheap, but he said it's exactly the same sort of reliable quality that you'd expect. So here we go. It's black, it's got a zip, it's pull cord again. It's got a pull cord on the side here, and they've got a zip which goes down the middle there. I think it's a pull zip, so you can just pull it open like that, which is great if you want to quickly get out. You're about to be shot at by the Russians. Yeah, so nice bit of kit. Let's go and try this one, see how what it's like. It is certainly waterproof. I think it's bigger. Let's go and find out. Okay, it does have a zip, although I've got to say the material, yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's fine. Right, this is bigger. Straight away, lots more space in this thing. It's probably £50, £60. I'll put the cost up. Definitely bigger than the other one. It's bigger when it's out and about, and you got more space in it than the Mountain Warehouse. Plus, when it's packed up, it's smaller than the Mountain Warehouse, or it's very similar to the Mountain Warehouse one. It's got the little zip here. I can guarantee you it's waterproof. This, I think, is a good buy, and I think this is absolutely the sweet spot if you want to keep the weight down, but you want to have everything very breathable. This thing, not very breathable, it's pretty breathable. Not as good as the next two, but it is cheaper, much smaller, so a really good backpacking, bike packing addition. Right, next. Right then, the last, no, not the last two, almost the last two. These two here are the next level up really. So those there were smaller, open-faced, really simple, and great for protecting you from the rain, give you a little bit of extra heat. So yeah, not bad. And probably the ones I would take for most bikepacking trips really. But if you want to do a more comfortable, nicer system, those are under £100. These are probably between £100 and £200. I'll put the prices up. I can't remember, it's been a while since I had them. This one I had the longest. It's a Terra Nova Jupiter. It's a hooped bivvy. They're amazing, but they don't make them anymore. I bought this one because I watched a guy from who'd just been out in Afghanistan, and he had sworn by this thing and said he didn't have the hoop, but he said it's just always reliable. You get yourself tucked in there and your mates are out freezing their nuts off, and you're nice tucked up in this thing. He said it was a really amazing bit of kit, and it's really durable, and I wish they were still making them. This here is the RAB Ascent Bivvy, which you've seen me in one other video. It is not hooped, but it does still have the built-in bug mesh. It is very waterproof, very breathable. The material is the Ascent material, so this is more a Gore-Tex type material, whereas this is the Ascent material, which is, I can again vouch for it being waterproof. This one I've slept in, I think 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 or 5 times, I can't remember now. This one twice, 3 times now. It might be 3 times. I think it's 3 times now. And this one I've done in the heavy rain, and this in the heavy rain as well. And one of my bikepacking trips out to Wales, I slept in this thing. So there are some videos out there of me using this one. Right, so we're going to get these out and have a look at these now. Okay, this is the RAB Ascent Bivvy. This is, you can tell straight away it's different to all the others. The material is the Ascent material. It feels lightweight, but it really does feel, it's ripstop. It just looks like it's going to survive. It looks like it's waterproof, and I can say it really 100% is. This stuff is amazing. It's actually quite a big bivvy. You've got 2 zips. So up at the front I've got a bug net, and then you can zip the whole thing up. So you can have it open, or just the bug net, or just zip the whole thing up. I haven't slept in it completely zipped up yet, so I can't really tell you in terms of breathability personally, but from what I looked at online, everyone is sort of raves about it. It is really good and really breathable. I'm not going to climb into it. What I will say is that it is definitely a 2 to 3 season bivvy because of its size. Again, it is limited. If you put a big pad in there and a big winter sleeping bag, it just isn't going to work. But if you have the pad on the outside and a winter sleeping bag, I think you'd be absolutely fine. So it kind of depends on how you want to play it. If you want something that you're going to use most of the time in the summer, but you want something that in the winter you could use if you needed to, then I think it's probably still something that's worth going for. You just got to remember to just leave the pad on the outside. But yeah, it is a really top quality piece of kit. Reasonably expensive, actually not too bad in terms of weight. I'll put all the weights up, but yeah, there we go. So that's the RAB Ascent Bivvy. So this is now when you're getting into some really nice, some nice kit. Okay, this is the Terra Nova Jupiter. It has, I haven't really pegged these down very well, but it's got some little guides out here just to hold it up. You've got a hoop in there, keeps the bivvy off your face. I quite happily just lying there on my side watching a film in the evening. Rain's coming down, I really don't care. I've got my own little environment. It's very long, so my feet can go, I can go all the way down there, and this whole section from here up to the front is basically just for storing your stuff, your boots and things like that. So it's a really roomy thing. If you get a little bit claustrophobic, then I really would go for one of these. Yeah, hooped bivvy. It's a Gore-Tex type material, pretty robust and very waterproof, and I went through pretty much a thunderstorm in this thing. out on one of my bike packing trips, and I would 100% recommend it if you can get hold of one second hand, that is. It is slightly deeper in terms of height wise than the RAB Ascent Bivvy that I mentioned, which means that in the winter I would probably rather take this, just because I've got that extra capacity to keep my mat in there and keep myself in there. Yeah, so it's probably worth it to me. So hooped bivvy if you're not too keen on having material on your face. What I should mention is same deal when it comes to netting. It's got a bug mesh on the front and a full, so you can zip the whole thing up. Weirdly, the bug mesh is on the outside. I don't know why that is, but anyway, if it rains, yeah, you can. It's no big deal. You zip the whole thing up and you're toasty. Right, next for the real winter one. Okay, and the last one that I'll talk about is this one here. This is my winter one. This is really built for the winter. This is the daddy of bivvy bags. This is a Carinthia XP2 Plus. It weighs 1.2 kilograms. Those other two that I just showed you weigh around about the 700 or 800 kilograms. Grams. This is 1.2 kilograms. They are 700 or 800 grams. So quite a bit lighter. This is exactly the same. It's an upgraded, lighter weight version of the Dutch Army Bivvy. And if you're a wild camper and you are into bivvies, you'll know that you go for the British Army Bivvy or you go for the Dutch Bivvy. There's an American version as well, which I don't think is looks quite as good, but anyway, so the Dutch Army Bivvy, but the Dutch Army Bivvy weighs 1.5 or 1.6 kilograms depending on which version of it you get. That's too heavy for bike packing. I do have one of those that sits in the car, that if I ever just decide I'm just going to pop out for the night, then I'll just go out and take that. But this one here is what I would say is on the edge of bike packing, but it's 1.2 kilograms. It's not bad for bike packing, but I would only really take this if I took the trek, if I had loads of kit and loads of space to be able to put this. So this has got a hoop, it's got a built-in bug net, it's got tons of space, and the great thing about what makes this winter is that I can put a big mat in there, I can put a winter sleeping bag in there, and I've still got plenty of room. I've got my hoop in there, and it is seriously waterproof. So I've slept in this on the coastline, on the top of the cliffs in Cornwall during a howling gale with a ton of rain, just to see what it's like. We were on a little family holiday, but that's how weird I am. Yeah, I went and did that, but it was a hell of a ride, and but this thing absolutely got me through it. Yeah, so is it bikepacking? Yeah, maybe. So let's have a quick look at this as well then. Okay, and lastly, this is the Carinthia. It is a massive sleeping bag. There is tons of space down there. There's the hoop. It's really wide. You can get anything in this thing. You can sleep in here with a weapon if you really needed to. What's an important thing to mention though is the way you get in is a big part of bivvying. This is a side entry. So I've got a zip down the side, which I really do like. I personally prefer the side zip. There we go, and it's got a zip on the top as well. So in here, you can't get entry in the front area, but that's where you store all your gear. And I can slide right down into this and have tons of room up at the head end. So side entry, so think about whether you're going to go for a side entry or a top loader effectively. That last one I showed you is a top loader, which is a little bit trickier to get your feet in and then wiggle your way down inside it. So it is definitely harder to get into. But if you've got a tarp over the top of you, sometimes it's better for keeping the water out as you get in and out. If there is rain or anything like that, then it's that little bit easier for keeping moisture out of the thing. Yeah, and I can quite happily get down in this, zip myself up, and where is it? And there we go, nothing gets me in this thing. It is cavernous. Bloody brilliant bit of kit, but like I say, it's pretty expensive. 1.2 kilograms. I would take it in with my Trek 1120, and I was really hoping this winter that Chris and I could get out in the snow, and this was the bit of kit I was going to take, and just sleep down in the snow with my big thick inflatable mat. I was going to be loving it, so I was really looking forward to it, but it just never happened. Right, sort this lot out. The amount of effort it takes to make these videos sometimes. Now I've got to put all this lot back. The temperature's actually going down quite quick. It's going to get down to about freezing tonight, so I want to get that fire going. I want to get the food in me, I want to get a beer in me, but yeah, that's the tidy this mess up now. Okay, last little bit which I didn't mention is if you are going to take a bivvy, if you can take some sort of ground mat to put underneath, just to stop it getting punctured or getting mud, all that sort of stuff on it. If you can, I've got an old piece, well, not an old piece, but it's a piece of German Army ground sheet which I got off eBay. Really cheap, it's really tough, it's pretty lightweight, it's not great, but it's not bad, and I've taken that on a couple of bike trips where I take the bivvy. Yeah, it doesn't cost a lot and it just protects it. The only thing I would say is that if you do get one, then try and get one that is not too big. If it's too big and it is raining, that rain, it just catches on the ground sheet, it just runs down and you end up just sleeping on it, and if your bag's just not up to it, then you're going to get wet. So yeah, just be careful how wide it is, but yeah, it's worth doing.
At the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, that's in Russian control. The staff there have been taken hostage. To be honest with you, there's that distinctive worrying look where someone just looks straight ahead.
Right, a quick summary of what I've just spoken about. But just before that, one thing I forgot is that to mention, one thing I particularly like is being able to sit in my bivvy, sit up and cook on the side and do that sort of thing. Consider the fact that if you've got a sleeping mat inside your bivvy, then you can't really sit up because it's restricting you, and you certainly can't do that when you've got one of those hooped bivvies where you have to get in from the top, so a top loader. Again, you can't really do that sort of thing, so that's why I like the side zip on that last bivvy I showed you, because you can just unzip it, sit up and do your stuff, and then tuck yourself back down again. Another good nice option is if you do get a bivvy, the ones with the zip like the Special Forces bivvy, again you can just undo the zip and that allows you to keep your mat inside and then just unzip and be able to sit up. Or like I say, you can just put your mat on the outside. I mentioned about tarps, and the option to take a tarp with you is, I think, a really good idea. The tarp that I use here, so this is my little Bivvy tarp. There we go. This is a DD Super Lite Tarp S. It's 2.8 meters by 1.5 meters. It is reasonably lightweight. It's not great. It doesn't actually show the weight on there, but it's reasonably lightweight. I think if you take that and then you add a pole with that SF Bivvy, the RAB Bivy, then I think you're looking at sort of 900 grams in that sort of region. This carbon fibre pole, it comes in three sections. I had this made, a company called Bare Bones. They're the guys who run the Bare Bones 200 bikepacking race. This is, yeah, it's really lightweight, really simple. It's 1.5 meters I think I went for. I think it's pretty custom, and that just holds up one corner of the bivvy, and then I just peg down the other three corners, and then of the tarp, and then my bivvy goes inside it. So okay, so that's it. In summary then, bivvies are a great way of bikepacking. Most people go for a tent, but a bivvy is a really lovely way to lie out under the stars. You can get a setup that's a lot lighter than a tent, a lot smaller. It'll fit in easier places, so you're going to have more options when you're going to hunker down for the night. It is more low profile, so a little bit more stealthy. Yeah, it's just a nice way of doing it. But you may need to take a tarp and a little tarp pole with you. If you're going to choose a bivvy, then lots of things to think about. The material, is it breathable, is it waterproof, what colour is it? You may probably want something that's not going to stand out unless you're going to be alpine and up on the top of the mountains. You probably don't want it to stand out. You want to be a little bit stealthy. That's kind of the point of a bivvy. You want to think about how big it is. Is it big enough to fit your mat? What sort of mat? What sort of weather? What sort of temperatures are you going to go in? Are you going to take a big, thick sleeping bag? So yeah, what sort of size are you going to have in there? Do you want a hoop or don't you want a hoop? Do you want a side entry or do you want a top loader? So lots of things to think about, but overall, yeah, bivvies are a relatively lightweight option for you. Okay, so then what about the sort of bivvies you can go for? The first type is the sort of up to £100, and the cheaper it is, where you pay for it is really in the quality of the material. So a cheaper one is going to be maybe not as breathable, it may not be waterproof, it may just be water resistant, and the more expensive one you get, you just get that better quality material. But essentially they're all pretty much the same. They pull up so far, they've probably got a pull cord, and they pull over your head, and it's open face, so you just need to consider that. Some people may or you may not be happy with that, but that's what you get. In terms of weight, you're probably looking at anywhere from 150 kilograms or 105 kilograms, 105 grams up to maybe 400 or 500 grams for that sort of system. If you go for the next level up, that's the 100 to 200 pound, probably close to the 200 pound really, where you get the real quality workmanship. You get the sort of high tech materials, and you get a bug mesh. You may get a hoop. Hoop will add about 100 grams, and there you can go for your side entry, and you've got quite a lot of options. The weight wise, you're looking really at the 500-600 grams all the way up to 1 kilogram. And if you go for something with a couple of hoops, and there is a stratosphere, I think is one option, but there are a number of them in there. There's a RAB which has got two hoops. Then you're looking at about 1 kilogram. So that's the next level up. And then the final level is that alpine, really big bivvy that you can fit all your gear into. The whole point is so you can go onto a mountain, you can have your rucksack in there and everything. But then in terms of cost, you're maybe looking at 150 plus in terms of pounds to buy it. And then weight wise, you're probably looking at 800-900 grams plus, so they can be quite heavy because they're so big, and they may not have a bug mesh because alpine, they tend not necessarily to have a bug meshing. So they're the three options really that you need to think about for your bivvy. Loads of different versions out there. Yeah, have a think about it. It's a lovely way to spend the evening. Anyway, take care. Next I'm going to do a little bit more work on the bike, and then it's pretty much set, ready to go. I'll show you that in my next video, hopefully going out next weekend. Anyway, take care, bye.